Diana Ross walked into the Frontier Hotel in Las Vegas in 1970 to begin her first major solo residency. And the moment she entered that casino, Diana understood the deal. Diana could perform on their stage. Diana could entertain their predominantly white audiences. Diana could make them money. But Diana couldn't gamble in their casino, couldn't eat in their restaurants outside of scheduled meal times, couldn't use the front entrance like the white performers. Diana was welcome in Las Vegas, but only on their terms, only in the spaces they designated, only under conditions that reminded Diana that access wasn't the same as equality. Some of y'all remember Las Vegas in 1970? Remember the glamour and the glitz that looked the same for everyone from a distance. But up close, Vegas was a city built on segregation, maintained even after the laws supposedly changed. Black performers had been fighting for basic dignity in Vegas casinos for decades. Sammy Davis Jr. couldn't sleep in the hotels where he headlined. Lena Horne had to enter through kitchen doors. Nat King Cole performed for white audiences who wouldn't shake his hand. And by 1970, some things had changed, but not enough, not nearly enough. Diana's Vegas residency in 1970 was Berry Gordy's calculated move to establish Diana as a solo superstar. Vegas residencies meant prestige, legitimacy, and money. Vegas meant Diana was important enough to headline major venues. Vegas meant crossover success, white audiences paying top dollar to see a black performer. Vegas was where stars proved they had staying power, could command a room night after night, could deliver the kind of polished entertainment that made them bankable. Berry needed Diana to succeed in Vegas to prove leaving the Supremes had been the right business decision. But Vegas' success for black performers came with costs white performers never paid. Came with rules and restrictions and constant reminders that you were being allowed into white spaces, not welcomed into them. Came with having to accept conditions that were degrading while maintaining the glamour and grace that made white audiences comfortable. Came with smiling through treatment that should have made you furious because showing anger meant losing the opportunity entirely. Diana had to navigate performing in a city that simultaneously celebrated and segregated black talent, had to be glamorous enough to attract white audiences, but not threatening enough to make them uncomfortable, had to be sophisticated enough to command Vegas stages, but accommodating enough to accept second-class treatment off those stages, had to be Diana Ross, the superstar on stage, and invisible the moment she walked into the wings. The Frontier Hotel booked Diana for 3 weeks in July 1970, shortly after the final Supremes performance in January. This was Diana's test. Could she fill a Vegas showroom alone? Could she hold audience attention for a full show without Mary Wilson and Florence Ballard beside her? Could she deliver the kind of polished Vegas entertainment that kept audiences ordering expensive drinks and staying at the tables afterward? Diana's entire solo career depended on answering yes to those questions. Some of y'all understand what was at stake. Diana couldn't just be good. Diana had to be extraordinary. Had to prove that one black woman could command a Vegas stage as powerfully as 3 had. Had to make Berry Gordy's investment look smart, had to open doors for herself and, whether Diana wanted that responsibility or not, for other black women who would follow. Vegas in 1970 wasn't just about Diana's career. It was about whether mainstream white America would accept black women as solo headliners in their most prestigious entertainment venues. The pressure was immense. Diana rehearsed obsessively, perfecting every song, every costume change, every moment of stage patter. Diana worked with choreographers to create sophisticated performances that looked effortless. Diana collaborated with designers to create gowns that were glamorous without being too sexy, elegant without being too conservative. Everything had to be calculated perfectly, because Diana was being judged by standards that didn't apply to white performers. One mistake, and Diana would be labeled difficult or unprofessional or not ready for Vegas. One moment of anything less than perfection, and the doors Diana needed to walk through would close. Berry Gordy understood the Vegas game, understood that Vegas success required making white audiences feel sophisticated for appreciating black talent, required presenting blackness in ways that felt cultured and safe, required performers who could deliver soul and emotion without making white audiences confront the reality of black suffering or anger. Berry had been training Diana for this moment since she was a teenager, teaching Diana how to be black enough to be interesting, but not so black that white audiences felt uncomfortable. Diana's opening night at the Frontier was packed. The audience was dressed in evening wear, jewelry sparkling under the lights. They'd paid premium prices expecting to see something special, and Diana delivered. Diana walked on stage in a shimmering gown and commanded that room with a presence that made it clear Diana Ross belonged on that Vegas stage. Diana sang, danced, charmed, and demonstrated that solo Diana was just as captivating as Diana with the Supremes. But what was happening off that stage? What conditions was Diana accepting in exchange for Vegas access? And how did Diana's Vegas success change what was possible for black performers who came after? Las Vegas in 1970 was a city still operating under racial rules that were supposed to have ended years earlier. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 had legally ended segregation, but Vegas casinos had found ways to maintain racial separation without explicitly violating the law. Black performers could technically use any facility, but they'd be made so uncomfortable doing so that most chose not to. Black guests could technically stay in the hotels, but reservations would mysteriously be unavailable. Diana Ross couldn't walk through the Frontier Hotel casino floor to get to her dressing room, had to use service corridors, back hallways, routes that kept Diana invisible to the predominantly white guests. This wasn't official policy. Nobody posted signs saying no black performers, but Diana's handlers made it clear that using the service routes was expected, and Diana accepted it because refusing meant losing the residency. The restaurants in the hotel operated on a similar informal segregation system. Diana could eat there, but only during scheduled times when the restaurants weren't full of paying guests. Diana couldn't casually walk into the fancy restaurants and get seated like white performers could. Diana had to coordinate with management, had to make reservations through her handlers, had to eat when it was convenient for the hotel rather than when Diana was hungry. Small indignities that added up to a constant message: you here to work, not to be a guest. Some of y'all remember how these systems worked. Nothing written down, nothing official, but everyone understood the rules. And if you complained, if you made it an issue, you were labeled difficult and the work dried up. So you smiled, you accepted it. You told yourself the opportunity was worth the indignity. Sammy Davis Jr. had fought some of these battles in the 1950s and 60s, had demanded the right to stay in the hotels, had pushed boundaries and paid the price. By 1970, some things had improved, but black performers had access. That access came with conditions. Diana's position was complicated by gender. Black male performers like Sammy could be more confrontational. Diana had to be gracious, accommodating, grateful, had to navigate being simultaneously celebrated on stage and marginalized off stage. The audiences were overwhelmingly white. Diana had to perform for audiences whose reasons for being there ranged from genuine appreciation to uncomfortable curiosity. Diana's stage presence had to walk impossible lines, had to be entertaining without being stereotypically soulful, had to be sophisticated without putting on airs, had to be glamorous without being threatening. Berry Gordy had prepared Diana specifically for this.
Motown's entire business model was built on creating black music that white audiences could love without feeling challenged. Diana's performance was as much about making white audiences comfortable as it was about showcasing talent. The reviews of Diana's frontier residency were positive. Variety called it a triumph. Billboard noted her star power. By every measurable standard, Diana's debut was successful. But the success required Diana to accept conditions white performers never faced. Required Diana to navigate racial dynamics that shaped every aspect of her experience except the hours she spent on stage. Required Diana to be grateful for opportunities that should have been offered without strings attached. Some of y'all understand the exhaustion of operating in white spaces on their terms, of being welcomed as long as you stay in your designated role. Diana's Vegas success was real, but it was success within a system designed to maintain white comfort and control. Diana's success at the frontier led to more prestigious Vegas bookings. By 1971, Diana was headlining at Caesar's Palace, one of the most exclusive venues on the Strip. Caesar's Palace represented the pinnacle of Vegas entertainment, the venue that attracted the biggest stars and paid the highest fees. Diana performing at Caesars meant Diana had reached the top tier of Vegas entertainment, meant Diana's name had the same drawing power as Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, or any white headliner. But even at Caesar's Palace, the informal segregation continued. Diana had better accommodations than at the frontier, had a suite in a hotel, had more freedom of movement, but the fundamental dynamics remained. Diana was there to perform, to make the casino money, to attract audiences who would gamble and drink and spend. Diana wasn't there as an equal to the white entertainers who could move through Caesar's Palace without handlers coordinating their every move outside the showroom. The financial arrangements revealed the inequality clearly. Diana was paid well, Vegas residencies were lucrative, and Berry Gordy negotiated strong deals. But Diana wasn't paid the same as comparable white performers. Diana wasn't offered the same performance schedules, the same promotional support, the same respect for Diana's time and preferences. The message was consistent. You're valuable, but not equally valuable. You're wanted, but on our terms. Diana's performances at Caesar's Palace were spectacular. Diana had refined her solo show, had developed the confidence and stage presence that would define her career for decades. Diana's costume changes became legendary, sometimes 15 different gowns in a single show, each more glamorous than the last. Diana's interaction with audiences became more natural, more confident. Diana was becoming comfortable being Diana Ross alone, not Diana Ross of the Supremes. Some of y'all saw Diana perform in Vegas during those early 1970s residencies. Remember the glamour, the professionalism, the way Diana made it look effortless. Remember feeling pride seeing a black woman command that stage, seeing Diana represent black excellence in a space that historically excluded black people except as entertainers. Remember the complicated feelings of celebrating Diana's success while recognizing the conditions under which that success was happening. The impact of Diana's Vegas success extended beyond Diana's own career. Diana proved that black women could headline Vegas as solo acts, that black women could sell tickets, could command premium prices, could be just as bankable as anyone. Diana's success made it easier for other black women performers to get booked in Vegas. But the integration Diana helped achieve was limited and conditional. Black performers could headline Vegas shows, but Vegas itself remained a predominantly white space, built for white comfort. The audiences were mostly white. The ownership was entirely white. The power structure was white. Black performers could access Vegas, but couldn't control it, couldn't shape it, couldn't demand that it change fundamentally to accommodate them rather than requiring them to accommodate it. Diana's relationship with Vegas would continue for decades. Diana's comfort level increased over the years. Diana eventually could move through Vegas casinos more freely. But those changes came gradually, came because Diana and other black performers had proven their profitability too clearly to ignore. Berry Gordy saw Diana's Vegas success as validation of his vision, saw Diana headlining Caesar's Palace as proof that Motown's approach worked, saw the money Diana was making and the prestige Diana was achieving as justification for all the training, all the control. Berry had created a star who could succeed in the widest spaces in American entertainment. But what Berry Gordy saw as triumph, Diana increasingly experienced as limitation. Diana was succeeding on terms set by others. Diana's glamour, Diana's sophistication, Diana's entire Vegas persona was designed to make white audiences comfortable. Diana was giving extraordinary performances in exchange for conditional access. The tension between Diana and Berry that would eventually lead to Diana leaving Motown had roots in moments like these. Moments when Diana achieved success Berry had orchestrated, but realized that success came with costs Berry didn't have to pay. Moments when Diana delivered perfection and still faced treatment that reminded her she was being allowed into spaces, not welcomed into them. Moments when Diana's talent and star power should have commanded respect without conditions, but didn't.
Diana Ross is 80 years old now, has performed in Las Vegas hundreds of times over 5 decades, has headlined every major venue, has seen Vegas change dramatically from the segregated city of 1970 to the more diverse entertainment capital it is today. But Diana remembers those early Vegas residencies, remembers the service corridors, the conditional access, the constant navigation of white spaces that welcomed her talent while marginalizing her humanity. The legacy of Diana's Vegas success is complicated. Diana helped normalize black performers in Vegas headlining roles, helped prove that black women could be just as bankable as anyone, helped open doors that had been closed or barely cracked open. Diana's success made it easier for Whitney Houston, Janet Jackson, and countless other black women performers to headline Vegas without facing the same level of segregation and marginalization Diana navigated. Some of y'all lived through this era and understand the complexity. Understand that celebrating Diana's Vegas success doesn't mean ignoring the conditions under which that success happened. Understand that Diana broke barriers while also having to accept compromises that shouldn't have been necessary. Understand that progress isn't always clean or complete, that sometimes you take the access you can get while working to expand that access for those who come after. Vegas today still has racial inequities in employment, in audience demographics, in ownership. But black performers can headline Vegas without using service entrances, without being confined to designated areas, without constant reminders that their presence is conditional. That change didn't happen automatically. It happened because performers like Diana proved their value so convincingly that the old systems of segregation became economically inefficient. Vegas changed not because it wanted to, but because black performers made themselves too profitable to marginalize. Diana rarely discusses the racial dynamics of her early Vegas residencies. Diana's public narrative about Vegas focuses on the glamour, the performances, the excitement of headlining prestigious venues. Diana doesn't dwell on the service corridors or the conditional access. That silence is Diana's choice, a choice to focus on triumph rather than indignity, on achievement rather than obstacles. But that silence also means younger generations don't always understand the conditions under which their predecessors succeeded. Don't realize that Diana's Vegas glamour existed alongside treatment that was fundamentally discriminatory. Don't recognize that the access Diana achieved came with costs that shaped Diana's career and psyche in lasting ways. Don't understand that representation without power, access without equality, success on someone else's terms isn't liberation, it's conditional tolerance. The relationship between black performers in Vegas remains complicated. Vegas wants black talent,
wants the diversity, wants the audiences, wants the cultural credibility. But Vegas still operates primarily as a white space, still centers white comfort, still expects black performers to adapt to Vegas rather than expecting Vegas to adapt. Diana's contribution to Vegas integration was real and significant. Diana proved black women could headline Vegas successfully. Diana opened doors. Diana expanded possibilities. But Diana also paid prices for those achievements, accepted conditions that shouldn't have been necessary, navigated systems that were designed to keep her in her place, even while celebrating her talent. Diana's Vegas success was both triumph and compromise, both achievement and accommodation, both breaking barriers and accepting limitations. For black performers today deciding whether to pursue Vegas residencies, Diana's legacy provides both inspiration and caution. Inspiration because Diana proved it's possible. Caution because Diana's experience reminds us that access isn't the same as power, that performing in white spaces doesn't mean controlling those spaces, that success on someone else's terms still means someone else sets the terms. Diana Ross's Vegas residency changed everything by proving black women could command the most prestigious stages in American entertainment. But it also revealed that changing everything didn't mean changing the fundamental power dynamics. Diana succeeded brilliantly within a system that was designed to limit her. And that combination of triumph and limitation, of breaking barriers while accepting conditions, of achieving success that was both real and restricted, that defines not just Diana's Vegas legacy, but the broader story of black success in white-controlled entertainment spaces. Do you remember seeing Diana perform in Vegas during those early solo years? Did you understand at the time what Diana was navigating offstage? Drop a comment below sharing your memories of Diana's Vegas performances, or tell us about other situations where you've seen people achieve success within systems designed to limit them. Hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss another trip down memory lane.